Okay.
All right, ladies and gents of YouTube, Twitch, and everywhere else where you be listening to this, welcome back to An Asian Guy and Irish Girl Talk. This is going to be our YouTube exclusive podcast series on the weekend where Kaz and I will be sharing our thoughts on a variety of matters. All right, so we hope that you guys are ready to join us. I am, of course, the Asian guy, and the Irish girl is with me here.
Hi.
All right, so we've got some good chill music prepared for you guys. Now, first thing I'm gonna talk about today, and Kaz knows this because during the week it's been such such an interesting topic. But hater mentality is a really interesting thing to me. I find it interesting that the better you do, the more that you have, and it's a funny comparison that in video games, if you're going the right way, you'll encounter enemies. Have you ever thought about that?
I think hater mentality for me is more psychological study. Because I get, like, in some ways I get it, and in other ways I'm like, why? Like, I can understand if you have a certain thing that you want to do, especially in the streaming world, right? Everybody in the streaming world either wants to be a streamer or they want to support their favorite streamer, right? Or as a streamer, you want to do well.
Yep.
Which is fine. But for me, I guess the way I try to look at it is, right, why is this person hating on you in the first place? Is it because, one, you're doing what they want to do? Two, are you doing something that their favorite streamer isn't doing? Or three, are they just that type of person who, it doesn't matter who you are and what you do, once someone else sees you be successful, are you the type of person that they feel then that they have to take down? Or four, which is slightly different territory, which is the racist aspect. Like, on someone because you just don't like their race. So I try to look at the person who's doing the quote unquote hating and try to get, I suppose, a more fleshed out aspect of who they are as people, in order to, I don't want to say judge them, but to gain a better understanding of why they do it. Like, not necessarily to be their friend or try to talk them around, because you are who you are and you shouldn't have to rely on other people to make you be a decent human being. Like, I mean, It's not like we don't know right from wrong, or when you say something, it's not like you don't know what you're saying. Especially kids, okay, is one thing, but adults doing it, that's where the bafflement comes in for me. It's like, if you see, like, that guy on your YouTube the other day, like, just out of nowhere, please don't make any more bills. But why?
Yeah.
Like, why? What? If you don't like, do you know what it is? If you see someone's video and you don't like it, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to thumbs it up. You don't have to thumbs it down. You can just move on.
Yeah.
But people feel like they have to leave a comment, or they have to, either upvote it or downvote it, in order for them to feel like they're important.
I agree with that. And, that's why when you mentioned the different types of, themes and stuff that represent these haters and stuff like that. By the way, hi Astrid Verona, welcome to our talk show. Nowadays I begin every stream with a little bit of a talk show, and on Saturday, when Kaz is time to join me, we do an Asian guy and Irish girl talk. We're actually talking about hater mentality today, Astrid, because recently, and the reason why Kaz was explaining the different types of haters is because very recently I posted up a Warpike build for Dauntless, and out of all the builds that I've made thus far, right, this is the only one where two people have gone out of their way to actually comment on the video and say, number one, the first guy said, please don't make any more builds, but this guy wasn't like a serious hater. Like, I talked to him, he seemed alright, whatever. The second guy was crazy. He was literally like, you shouldn't be making builds because your builds are just bad. You are gonna mislead people if you have this build up. My thought on that is that, who the fuck is he to tell me what I cannot do? Is he God? Because I don't see no God here. I don't see no man being God.
It's also a case of, there are so many different ways that you can build a character in that game. Like, who is he to tell you that you're misleading people? You're not misleading people, because I use those builds. Like, every single day we play that game, I use those builds. Those builds stand up to the test. They are what I use. And okay, if he doesn't like your builds, that's fine. But to turn around and say to somebody, "Oh, you don't make any more builds, you're misleading people," who exactly are we misleading?
He says, we've been misleading new players, but I think new players actually want to learn from me and see from me, And you know what else is there? I actually went to his channel to check him out. He's got less subscribers than me, which is probably the first thing that is upsetting him. And he only posts his like super trial runs where he's in like the top 20 or whatever, and that's great. But that doesn't actually teach anybody anything. All I'm here to do is to teach people.
Where are his builds for new players?
Exactly, exactly.
New players, then why doesn't he create builds that shows new players a different way of playing or another option? Like, it's all very well and good telling someone that what they're doing is misleading somebody, but if you're not putting into practice what you're talking about and saying, I think misleading new players because this build will work so much better for them, if you're not giving a comparison or you're not giving them an option, then all you're doing is standing there and looking like an absolute fool for being negative for absolutely no reason. If you haven't tried the builds and if you don't have builds on your own channel that explain, the differences for new players, then shut the fuck up. You have no reason to be here, standing here speaking. You have nothing to compare it to, so therefore back off. And if the only thing that you do and you showcase on your channel is your like super fast trials, then the build that you're using isn't for new players either.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at his channel now. That's all he's posted, all his top 20 runs or whatever, And all of his videos, like overall, they got less views than mine. Like, so he's been a Dauntless content creator for like 4 long months. And you're telling me that you've been doing this every fucking week for 4 long months, and then that's all you got? Like, bro, man, that's actually sad,
Yeah, there's so many different elements that go into somebody being again, quote unquote hater. Like, but if you're only a content creator on a specific platform for 4 months and you go to one guy's channel just to trash him, when really what you should be doing is making connections within the Dauntless community or having an open conversation about, builds, what different cells can do, what the point of your build is, who it's for, what it's aimed at. Like,
exactly.
If you're not even willing to open conversation about,
and I think so many people just don't do that because they're just not willing to actually teach, and they cannot teach. All they can do is showcase, I'm this good. So even if they do get subscribers, I think that this is a lot of like fake interaction, because I think that if he really had the kind of clout that he does, he would get a lot more attention on his builds. You see, I
don't think that's fake interaction. I just think that it's probably an awful lot of people who are just interested in doing trials and seeing someone do them in a specific way, which is fine, because if that's what people are interested in, then they're going to go to that content. They're going to search out that content and they're going to find it. And he's going to find his subscribers based on the content that he creates.
Probably.
But if that's the content that he creates, then why is he commenting on other people's content that have nothing to do with the content that he creates?
That's what I'm, interested in thinking about. It's crazy. And sorry, just to answer Astrid as well. Astrid says, yeah, so many people, they hate for 0 reason. Stay strong. You help start with paladins, and so you're right here. We're here to learn, and we can know more and find other ways and all that. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. I mean, after all, the kind of content creator I am and have always been is I'm somebody who, I may not be at like the top tier, like top leaderboard, but I'm helping others and I'm willing to teach others, like, okay, so this is what works in this particular situation, and I do that, whether it's Magic Legends, whether it's, Dauntless, whether it's anything really, I build on that and I'm willing to guide people on that because it's very important, and no, Astrid, I'm not mad, we're just like exploring the hater mentality today, because what we want to do is like, we want to dissect it, and also through our conversation, between myself and Kaz, we want to sort of like dissect the mentality and also explain to others why they don't have to feel bad, right?
Yeah. You don't have to feel mad because somebody made a build that you don't like. I mean, and the great thing about builds is you can adapt a build. Like, you can, whatever cell you want, you can change it around. You can take the core of someone's build and adapt it to your play style and the cells you want in, or what you feel is going to work for you. Like, it's not set in stone that this is the build you have to play. This is just an option. And I think that people forget that, like whether it's you know, Dauntless or Paladins, or whether it's, you know, even Space Lords. Like,
I think you actually, you know, hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, I think the core point in that you know, many people miss, and like you said, Kaz, you know, people miss the fact that we as players have options. Just like in real life, we have options. We have options in every single thing that we do. We are never required to be stuck into one particular form. If it doesn't suit us, we can change it. You know, and that's what's so magical about being creative and being an individual. You know, Kaz and I don't have to agree on everything, and that's why we talk it out, because, you know, sometimes I have an idea and I'll run it by her and she'll say, you know, maybe, you know, like, think of it in a different sense, and I'll take that on board, and then it becomes better. So it's that kind of thing. We have choices, we have options, and ultimately what I do is I give people options. I like to give people options because I like them to know that they're not completely stuck into, you have to do this one thing at exactly this time. No, you can enjoy a game in so many different ways, and ultimately, are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying the game?
If you're not enjoying the game, you know, is it the builds that you're not enjoying? Is it, you know, the content that you're not enjoying? Is it the game itself? And that's what you have to kind of sift through. Like, what is it about this game that I'm just not enjoying right now? And there are so many options out there for, you know, even if you just take the YouTube spectrum. Like, you can find so many people who play that same game that you play. There are so many streamers out there who play that same game that you play. It is so easy to find content and to watch other people. You know, even for Paladins, right? There are so many people out there who play Paladins, and there's a lot of YouTubers who put content up. And I'll have a look, and sometimes, you know, they'll run a particular build, say for Paladins, and I'll think, oh God, that looks really interesting. And it's not until I create and I go, oh no, that's not for me. But I wouldn't go to their channel and hate on the build that they've created that works for them just because it doesn't suit my play style. I certainly wouldn't thumbs down. This is the one thing I don't get, right? I see people all the time thumbs down other people's videos, right? If I come across a video and I think, oh, I might be interested in this, and I watch it, after the first few minutes, I know, okay, I just don't like it, or it's not for me. I'll move away from the video. I won't leave a comment. I won't thumbs it up, and I won't thumbs it down. I will just pretend I never seen it in the first place. There is absolutely no need to be negative, to leave a nasty comment. Like, there's just no need for any of that. I'll move on, and I'll go and find something else that does suit my taste. But I don't have to be negative or nasty along the way. I can just leave it be. Just walk away. If you don't like it, turn it off.
And that's exactly the thing. You see, these people, and that's what shocks me, you know, like, because I don't even have the energy to go and hate on these other videos. I don't even watch these other videos because I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have the energy because 15 minutes is fucking precious. Okay? 15 minutes of time is super precious. What am I going to do? Hey, because of me, thank you for stopping in. You know, I do not have the time in my life to waste on any of that, you know. 15 minutes, me and Kaz would rather be go do another mission in Space Lords or something like that, you know. 15 minutes is very precious.
I think a lot of people spend their time thinking my time is precious. And I've just watched a video that I don't like, and therefore I have to comment now because I've spent the time watching this video. And if I don't leave a comment or I don't thumbs it down, then that's 15 minutes wasted, where it's not. It's 15 minutes where you've learned that, okay, I don't like this person, or I don't like their content, or I don't like this particular video. But again, you know, you can move away from that. You can say, okay, that was 15 minutes where I learned something. You don't have to see it as such a negative of, that's 15 minutes of my time wasted and I have to leave a nasty comment now, or I have to tell them what I think is wrong. And again, there's nothing wrong with telling someone, or, you know, having a conversation with someone in where you can tell them where you think they've gone wrong with something, but there's a way to do it. Like, constructive criticism is a thing, but if you're just going to criticize and to hate on somebody, that's a whole different ballgame, and that's what I don't understand. If you feel like you've wasted 15 minutes of your time watching something, why then would you invest even more time fighting with that person over what you've just watched or over what you just disagree with? Because essentially you're just wasting even more of your precious time trying to beat someone down because you feel like they've done you wrong in some way, when it's only a video, it's only a build. Like, it's not a big deal.
I think that to these people, it is, you know, coming from a basis of arrogance where they believe themselves to be so righteous that they have the right to tell others. And you see this a lot in the religious zealot kind of community, whereby one person believes themselves to be more righteous than others. They bring out this whole thing whereby like this holier than thou kind of thing. And all that shows me is that this person has had a very poor upbringing. As we say in Asia, their parents have not taught them well. Their parents have not taught them manners or how to, interact like a decent human being. What they have done is raised a spoiled brat who believes that the world is his, which should not be the case. But people out there sometimes just some other kind of animal. Makes me even wonder how we on the same planet.
Like it's even like it's prevalent in every community. It's not just streaming, it's in every community. Like there's so much stuff that happened in like the beauty community, say in the last 12 months or so.
Yep.
A lot of stuff I disagree with, right? So I've stopped watching a lot of people because I don't feel that they deserve my time anymore. But I don't have to go to their YouTube channel and leave nasty comments or thumbs their videos.
Exactly,
which is what I choose to do. I just choose to not spend my time watching their content anymore because I don't believe in some of the stuff that they have personally done or have done privately or publicly that come to light. I don't have to be nasty. I can just take a step back and go, you know what? I just don't need to spend my time with these people. I don't need to give them the view. I'm not going to help them when it comes to monetization. I'm not going to give them, the few cents that they'll make from my from my watch. Like you just don't have to give that to people.
Exactly.
And I just you can hold people accountable. If somebody has done something really shitty, okay, fine, hold them accountable. Perfectly fine. But if you're just going on someone's video to hate them or to leave a nasty comment or to say something absolutely ridiculous, like, what is the point? What is the point? Like, recently, there's a guy, he's an English guy, his name is Ollie London, right? He is 100% British, but he is madly in love with one of the guys from BTS and went out and had a load of plastic surgery. Is now trying to tell people that he's half Korean, half English, which he's not. He's 100% English. And I don't agree with the cultural appropriation that he does, so I just choose not to watch his content. But I tell you what I did watch was when Asian Lives Matter first came to light. He was one of the first people to make a video on it, and that was a video I watched and I said, you know what, fair play, he's standing up for Asian people, even though he's appropriating our culture. At least he's trying to do the right thing when it comes to stop Asian, right? But what I did see in his comments was people telling him to die, to go, to go off and kill himself and to do this, that and the other. And then people were making up rumors that he was dead, and people were cheering. They were like, "Oh my God, I thought this was real. Oh, my day is ruined now." Like, I don't understand that. How can you go and say, "Oh, Asian lives matter," or sit there and say that you're part of this big community who tell people to love themselves and to love each other all the time, and then celebrate the fact that you thought somebody that you dislike had died? Like, it doesn't matter whether I like you or I don't like you. I certainly wouldn't celebrate the fact that you were dead.
Yep, I think that a lot of people, they don't see the hypocrisy in what they say, and Astrid, I agree with you to an extent. Sometimes we think of these people as freaks and, they're not to be taken seriously, but at the same time, like, some of these people that were, wishing ill upon him, that is pretty dark. Now, y'all know me, I'm a very salty gamer. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Okay, we all know how salty I can get, especially on Paladins. And I do say things that can be dark, that can be misconstrued, that probably I wouldn't say if I had 1,000 people watching. Probably wouldn't. But quite frankly, when it comes to reality, I have never truthfully, like 100%, wished someone ill from like the bottom of my heart, like genuinely wished them ill. I have never done that. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're genuinely wishing someone ill, that's the poison in you that you need to expel. That's your demon. It's not the other person's demon,
That says more about you as a person as it does about
it really
them
does.
And that's why, like, even when you say certain things, I'm like, no, please don't do that.
Yep, I know.
Because it shows people in a light that I know that they don't necessarily want to be seen in, but if that's the face that you put on, that's all people can see.
It is indeed.
Still, at the end of the day, like, people can do and say an awful lot of things. And if somebody if I genuinely dislike somebody, I again, you know, whether it's online or at home, whatever it is, I just choose not to spend time with them, right? I'm not around them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they rang me tomorrow, or they sent me a tweet, or they sent me a text and said, I'm having a really tough time, I have no one to talk to, you know, I'd still sit there and talk to them. I wouldn't, I don't want people to suffer. Therefore, you know, I don't push that out there. And I think an awful lot of people, because they suffer, they force that suffering onto other people. And I think when I was saying, like, it's the psychological aspect for me that makes me interested in people like this. That's what it is. I think when you see people hating other people online, it's not because they necessarily hate them or hate the content. Maybe it's because they dislike themselves and dislike their own content, and you're doing something that they wish they could do, and it's not necessarily their forte. And they see other people, you know, gaining some traction or gaining some ground with regards to the content that they do create, and it makes them feel even worse then, because they can't get people interested in the content that they want to create. But again, forcing your negative opinion on someone else, or forcing a negative opinion about someone else's content, isn't going to help you grow. It's not going to help you be seen as a better person. What it's going to show is that you're a salty fucker who can't bypass a video that he just doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the unfortunate thing.
No, sorry, I was letting you continue. I just wanted to say you're right.
I just don't. I can sit here and say I don't understand it. I do kind of understand where they're coming from. I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it's so much energy to use on a negative emotion when you could be using your emotions and your time and your energy into something that you enjoy. And maybe some of these people do enjoy doing that to others. You know, there are certainly people out there who enjoy making other people feel bad for absolutely no reason, because it's just the way they are.
Yep.
And those, again, I can kind of understand that. Like, they're just, some people are shitty people. You know, I'm not going to pretend the world's all, you know, butterflies and roses. It's not.
Yep.
There are shitty people there, and you'll come across them regardless of who you are and what you do. But for me, you know, I'm always thinking, like, what is going wrong in that person's life that they have to project that out there onto somebody else? Because, listen, I'm a woman. I get emotional. I get irritated. And I can, you know, put my hands up and say, there are times when I'm in a really bad humour, and until maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, when I realised what I was doing, would be, you know, I'd be having a bad day, and therefore I would actively seek out an argument with Robot Day. Just because I was having a shit time, I wanted him to have a shit time. Or if I was having a bad day, I would find the smallest thing to jump on and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But that wasn't his fault. That was my fault, because I was having a bad day, and what I was doing was projecting that emotion onto him, when realistically, I should have sat back and said, okay, if I'm having a shit day, it's probably best that, you know, I keep that to myself, or, you know, hold it within, because it's not fair on him. And that's, once I kind of realized that that's what I was doing, that's what I started to do. So when I have a bad day, I won't come on stream. If I'm in a really shit humor or I'm severely irritated, I will come off stream. I'll be like, no, I'm just not feeling it. Or, you know, I'll say something like, oh, no, I have a bit of a headache. And it's not that I don't enjoy my time on stream. It's just maybe something's going on here at home, or, you know, maybe there's something going on in the house, or maybe something's going on personally. And all of those emotions I can't put down while I'm on stream, or while I'm talking to you, or whatever that may be. But that, again, that's something that you have to actively be aware of. And I think an awful lot of people don't have someone that they can bounce this off in order to be made aware that that's what they're doing.
I think that's a very key point there, actually, you know, the aspect. I'm going to expand on that in a moment, but let me just say, Astrid also says his girlfriends, the side student people in the class have always been like, oh, racism, hate crime is this. Yes, they do. People have traumas from being hated. Yeah, they do. That's why, you know, bullying, cyberbullying is definitely a thing. You know, and before we carry on with that point, like I said, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on the aspect of that hate that Kaz just mentioned. But before that, you know, because of the timing of the show, I just want to put this out there, and as I always do mid-show during my normal talk shows as well. We are currently actually running a tip challenge. If anybody wants to drop a tip, it is on the YouTube videos. You can find the link in the description, or on Twitch. All right. If you do decide to drop a tip, it will go toward funding Vermintide 2, which we are looking for sponsors for. And once we have, you know, the full funding done, All right, any content that I make during the week and stuff like that, and on Twitch streams, we'll be advertising all of our sponsors. So if you guys decide to put into it that effort, just follow the link. Thank you very much if you guys decide to do that. Now, going back to our discussion, that mini little advert aside, going back to our discussion, what Kaz mentioned is that they don't have anyone to bounce their thoughts off of. And I think that that's actually a key thing. That is why some of these people are so filled with anger, angst, and hatred. I'm going to dissect this, okay? I'm going to dissect this down. Like, there's this person, all right, who's taking the time to actively attack my videos. Now, the way that I see it, I don't think he doesn't know me. I genuinely don't think so. I think what he has seen from me is the fact that, and most likely he has lurked in some of my streams. He would have seen that, hey, I've got a wifey, I've got all these little things going on. I'm not limited. And I think that two things came into his mind at that point. Number one, I do what he doesn't do, which is I can genuinely teach people, explain my builds, make myself clear, show some demonstrations to help people along, to showcase that, yes, this is something awesome that you can do, something that you can work with, because I'm naturally a teacher. I have been ever since it was school. Other kids would ask me to teach them, I teach them, because that's who I am. I am somebody who guides others, I've always been that person. I might be a little salty, but I will genuinely try and guide you and say like, okay, look, maybe you should try this. Maybe you should do this. I try not to be commanding about it, but usually when I say something, it's because it's gonna work toward the person's benefit. Then I think that the second aspect is that he sees that I'm not just limited in my content to just Dauntless. I'm doing Magic Legends right now. My videos are growing. All right. One of the vids that he posted, like, I think it took him a while, and he had to put it as the channel trailer, so it automatically plays whenever somebody comes in to like count a view for like 2 seconds. That's the only way he's ever broken like 1,000 views. The rest of his stuff is all under 1,000, whereas for mine, my builds get more than 1,000 views. It grows over time, but it's growing. There's that active growth there. And actually, I had less subscribers than him when I first started. When he first came in to comment. Now he's like catching up, but like even then, maybe it's because he's getting people on his stream to actively sub to his channel, whatever, but there's nothing there. Even if they sub, it's an empty sub. I do not want that. I have never once even begged people to sub to my YouTube channel. I've always said, you can come here if you need something. And you know what people do? And then they sub after seeing the content, which, let me tell you, ladies and gents, that's far more valuable. That is far more valuable, because that way, if they sub after seeing your content rather than you begging them for a sub, all right, they're actually going to be interested in what you have to offer. And when you only offer one type of content, what's going to happen when you stop making that content, or when people stop being interested? Quite frankly, the interest that people have in the game is in seeing, building up, and things like that. Yes, trials are a great part of the game, but to be fair, not that many people play them. Most people are out there hunting, getting gear, because they're here to play with friends. They're not here to beat a monster as quickly as possible. I mean, yes, a small fraction of people will be out there to do that, maybe to get their mocks and things like that, but by that same token, I could say that this guy is just clickbaiting, because he's not posting his build, he's just showing his trial run, and people will still be desperate enough because they want the coins or they want the crown. They'll be desperate enough to watch that. So if all you're getting...
Said something smart there. I think that a lot of people do have really good builds, and what they don't want to do is share those builds. And when you share really good builds that keep people up, it pisses other people off, because they might have a build similar to what you're running, and they don't want people to have that build. That
is also a very good point. You see, that is probably why my vids have been watched, like my Mandalorian repeaters have been watched 3,000 times. I have 3,000 views on that. And I think that the more people see these builds, the more they hate them, because they don't want people to have these good builds. Actually, that's a good point that I didn't think about, I think that a big reason for why they hating so much is because they actually do not want me to reveal these tricks. It's like, there was this one show that I always remember in the past. And by the way, thank you, Ashaz, for putting up my YouTube link right there. There was this one show in the past called Breaking the Magician's Code, where they would reveal how all the magic tricks are done. I can imagine why magicians would be mad at that show, because, they'd be killing that revenue earner for them by showing how the tricks are done.
It's disappointing. Like I can understand in certain aspects, like if you're a magician, that kind of kills the magic, right?
Yep.
But if you're making content and you're showing people, right? So doing this, for instance, if you're doing trials and your sole content is around doing trials, then I can understand why you wouldn't want someone to have your build, because you want people to keep coming back to see what you can do. But the problem there is people are going to start getting super frustrated because they don't know what you're running. They can't do what you do, and you're not telling people how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You might feel great because you're one of the only people out there doing it in that time. That's all very well and good. But people are going to get so bored and they're going to move away so quickly because you're not giving them what they're actually looking for, which is a good build for them to be able to do something similar, if not the same, as what you're doing.
Yep. And you know what? I'm actually going to, just out of sheer spite, okay, I'm going to spend next week, working on my Dauntless content just to get to trial level, and I'll make a build that will succeed in trials and put it out there. I'm going to do that out of sheer spite because I'm going to kill the revenue for every single one of these trial builders. Okay, I'm going to do that. You want to know why? Because I can, and that's my freedom. And that is also another point that I want to bring across to many people who are listening to this, who are watching this. When somebody, tries to take away your freedom, the best thing you can do is, number one, okay, I'm going to teach you the secret technique, okay? First, you hold your hand like a fist like this, all right? Then you slowly start winding the crank here. And then, oh, look, the middle finger just comes up right there. Oh, yeah. First, you do that, okay? And then the second thing that you do is you go be better at it than them. And you shove it in their face. That is what I would do. And that is probably what I'm going to do, because quite frankly, there's a lot of mentality around taking the higher road. Sometimes, and I have learned through my past.
Listen, what I'll say is, I'm the first person to say, don't ever be petty. But there are some times and there are some instances when the only time you will get through to somebody else is when you bring yourself down to their level and be just as fucking petty as them. And that's just the be all and the end all, because sometimes you have to speak in a language that the other person is going to understand. You can take the high road all you want, but that's not going to help them to change. It's not until you do to them what they do to you that they then realize, okay, what I'm doing is actually pretty shitty. I'm going to stop now.
Yep. And to be fair, I'll add this on. And again, as we've been doing with the past few morning shows, I don't care who I offend or upset by saying this, but quite frankly, sometimes you have to be even more brutal than them, because a lot of people take kindness and niceness for weakness. Sometimes you have to show them your darkest and most ugly side to show them that, listen, you're not the baddest bitch here. I am, but I'm giving you a chance to live. Now you tread on my toes one more time, and we are not going to be having this conversation again. Now you get out of my town. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
And again, I was just going to add to that by saying, like, we went through an experience just about a year ago. That's exactly what happened to us. People mistook our kindness for weakness. They tried to stand on us, and they tried to do and say an awful lot of things that weren't true. Now, I hate being a raggedy bitch, but during that time, I absolutely was. And if I hadn't been, they would have absolutely trampled all over us. Now, did people walk from us? Absolutely they did, because they were scared. And they were scared because they understood that we were no longer going to sit back and take the shit that they were coming at us with. I put everything out there for everyone else to see.
We did.
And when that settled down for us, it was all fine and dandy. And then, certain things happened. And everybody thought that it was fantastic that, they had tried to come between the two of us, and they had tried a number of things. But when the main instigator had the exact same thing happen to him, rather than stand and fight, he fled from him. He was gone from him. He shut his channel down. He shut his social media down. And, the funny thing about it is, even though we were, I say we, I was the main instigator in this situation, even though I shown people his true colours, that didn't mean that, all of a sudden I didn't care about how this was affecting him and his family. Of course I did. I kept in touch. I made sure that everything was actually okay. And he came back a little while ago, and I'm glad to see that he came back. I'm glad to see that he actually sat back and, obviously thought about what he did, and his content is completely different now. And, he seems to be a completely different person, and that's great. but we don't have to pretend to like each other. We don't have to even pretend. We don't talk to each other. We don't have to. There's space there for everybody.
Oh,
and that was the main point.
Trying to get
across the whole time, was that there's space enough for everyone. You don't have to trample on someone in order to get further than them. It will come to you in your time. You just have to keep going with what you're doing, and trying to take someone else down. Again, doesn't say anything about the person that you're trying to take down. It says more about you than them.
Oh no, but wait, what if I want to become the Dark King and conquer everything and make everybody bend the knee? What about then?
You can't make people bend the knee. People will bend or they won't.
In fact,
and it's the people who bend the knee are the ones that you excuse me, that you spend your time with. It's the ones that you spend your time on. It's the one, they're the people that you raise up in your community.
No, you're definitely right. And actually, I had mentioned that yesterday, in the speech that I gave on Robot in the Morning. I had talked about it. I had talked about this concept of freedom, because what I said then, was that every man, like, I can go around asking everybody to bend the knee, but it is their freedom to choose to spit in my face right there and then, or to do so, even if it was, let's use a negative example here. Even if it was under duress, the person under duress still has that choice. You may be saying that you are forcing the hand, but they have within them still that freedom to choose against. It's up to them to make the choice that they feel would have the best outcome. You know what I'm saying? But that is exactly why, no matter how powerful you get as a streamer or as a content creator or as anybody in the world, no matter how powerful you get, you can ask anybody to bend the knee, but somebody out there is going to tell you, go fuck yourself. And that is their absolute freedom. So the way that I think about this constantly, because I do have dreams. I do have dreams of rising up and becoming this famous individual that's going to be a household name. That's my dream. That is my dream that I pursue every single day that I do this. But I tell you, on the day that I do it, I will make sure it is because the people who are choosing to bend the knee are doing so willingly because they believe in what I have to offer them. I will never be a type of man, all right, that tells people out there, you must because I'm right. No, you think for yourself. If you think I'm right, then you follow me into hell itself. But if you don't think I'm right, tell me to go fuck myself and I'll go. I won't force you into a situation. I will ask you to bend the knee. But again, that's the key word there. I'm asking you to bend the knee.
Yeah. And you see, I think that's what a lot of people don't factor in, or maybe they do. It's the concept of Klingon, or what I call Klingon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's yes men. You cannot trust yourself with yes men because you are never going to get a true answer from someone with regard to whatever it is that you're talking about.
Absolutely true.
For instance, if you're a big streamer and you decide that you're going to do, something, or you say something, and maybe what you do or say kind of goes against the grain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you surround yourself with yes men, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, no, you were spot on. That's perfect." But the second you start to fall, all you will see is them clambering over your corpse to try and get to the spot that they feel you were in.
Yep.
There'll always be someone out there willing and ready to take your spot. There will also be people out there who will seem like they're your friend, but really all they're doing is waiting for that moment. They're waiting for that moment jugular to take you down in order to take your spot. And I think that there's too many people out there at the moment who surround themselves with yes men.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to be told how great they are. They want to be told how their content is, how great their stream was, or how great their last album was, or how great their movie was, or how great their last TikTok video was. Like it doesn't matter. Like these days, it doesn't matter. But I think it is harder to be a no man than it is
yes
to be
man.
A yes. Because it's very easy for someone to. No, let me rephrase that. It's not easy to say no to somebody.
Yep.
Or to go against what someone else is saying and to stand up and say, no, I'm sorry, I really feel what you did or said was incorrect, or maybe you've hurt a whole group of people with what you've just done or said.
110%.
It's very easy then for that person to just kind of discard you, but at least you walked away knowing that you did your best to try and make that person see, what you did was wrong.
Yep.
But if you surround yourself with people who are just saying yes all the time, oh, that was amazing, that you're perfectly right, it's within your rights to do and say this. It might be perfectly within your rights to do and say something, but that doesn't mean that you should do or say it.
That's true.
And I think the concept of everyone is your friend until you become their competition is something that everybody needs to consistently have in the back of their mind. Because only when you truly become someone's competition will you find out who your true friends are.
Exactly. And I think that's a very important concept that many people miss. They are not willing to understand that sometimes you just have to compete, and then when you see that the other person can't stand you because you're competing and doing better than them, that's when you know who your true friends are. For us, honestly, we through these few months have really sifted out a lot of that, because the people who couldn't stand us or who couldn't stand that we were still succeeding in spite of them, and whatever, they've all left, and many have completely left streaming altogether. Some have gone off. I always come back to that example, which I talked about on one of my weekday shows. There's this guy who was bragging about 3K followers. He's playing Minecraft all the time. And I showed Kaz the tweet. I'm not going to name the person, but I showed Kaz the tweet. I've quit streaming. I'm going to come back once or twice, just for chatting and whatever. Like, dude, how much of a loser are you that your fans bought you lighting, your fans bought you this and that? I'm still here in my normal ass room with just a window here. I don't have no fancy backdrop or nothing that nobody had to buy for me, but this guy got all that and then he straight up quit. Like, that is the biggest fuck you that you give to your fan base ever, and I think that is the shittiest thing that anyone can do.
I think it's people's perception of, I'm going to use fame as the word, but it's probably not the right word, but it's people's perception of how famous they have become. Because this guy at one point did have an awful lot of people who really believed in his content, and they, like you just said, they paid money to help him buy the lighting, to buy the mic, to buy all the bits and pieces that he needed, because they believed in him. And the second he started playing one particular game and his viewership kind of fell off, that was it for him. Like, he was gone. It wasn't for him anymore. But what about the people who were there from the start? And this is the thing, right? So it's all very well and good to play one game. I'm not hating on anyone who plays one game. You do whatever makes you happy. But if you are playing a particular game, and all of a sudden you decide to switch that up, and your core audience comes with you, say, right? That's fine. That's brilliant, because they're there for you. They don't care about the game. They're there for you. But if they then start to do or say or act in a particular way that then starts to rub them up the wrong way, of course they're going to leave.
Yep.
Of course. And that's what happens. And also a lot of people start to get very negative because they think, oh, I'm going to jump on this game because this game has a huge audience. Right, the game might have a huge audience, but you might not be making the content that audience wants to see. Or, I'm sorry, this may be offensive, but your content may be way more boring than everybody else's content. So why would they spend their time in your stream when they can get what they want from somebody else? And just because you're not creating the content that people want to watch, like, you back off and you're like, I'm going to quit altogether.
Yep.
Well, are you going to give people back their money then?
That's the way I honestly think he should have, because they bought him the fancy ass mic and this. Man, you still using the $50 shitty ass mic. Wear my fancy ass mic. Not that I want anybody to buy that for me. I will earn it. But I'll tell you one thing: on the day that I earn it, I will know I deserve it.
See, that's the thing. That's the difference between you and a lot of other people. And I'm not just saying this because I know when obviously we first started chatting, you were a very different person and you've seen things very differently than you do now.
It's true.
And the difference is you don't expect people to give to you, and when you do get it, or when you do hit your tip goal or your sub goal or whatever it is, when you do get it, you always make sure you give back in some kind of way. Whereas these other people will have a tip goal of, they don't give a shit if they hit it. The second they hit it, they'll buy on to the next. Yeah. Okay, you guys have bought me this, now you can buy me this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it gets more expensive as time goes on, and people, like, people work hard for what they have, and especially in the last year with COVID, people work hard and they're doing their best, and they turn to streamers, as their form of entertainment, because
as their relief. Yeah,
exactly. And if you go on and you're watching someone and you really enjoy them and you feel like you want to help them out, that's amazing. And whether it's only $1 or whether it's $1,000, the fact is that you're helping someone else out. And once they reach that goal and they come out with another goal, say, because they want something else, I feel like that's somewhat a little bit of a slap in the face, because not only are 99% of the time they don't even acknowledge the fact that they hit the goal with all these people. They don't thank them, or they might give the blanket thank you, which covers everybody, but there's nothing personal in it. There's nothing that makes that person feel like, oh my god, I've really helped him get what he needed. And then if you decide to quit streaming after people have genuinely invested their time and money, just because you're having a bitch fit or you're throwing a tantrum because the content that you're now making on this one particular game isn't going the way you thought it was going to go,
exactly. That is a huge finger to everybody who supported you, and that's what you're not gonna get with me. You see, that's why I think more people do come back for my content, even if it's not 100% what they want to see. At the very least, they're here, they're interacting, they're having a listen, because I know that we can, I know that I can reach hearts and minds, but I want to do it in a way whereby it doesn't matter what I'm playing, that the people are here to listen because they feel that we've got a message to give to them, and I'm honestly very proud of the fact Grain 13 actually showed up today, even though we're not doing Dauntless right now. Thank you for even coming by to stop by and listen, because I appreciate that. And that's ultimately the kind of streamer that I want to be, because I am a variety content creator. I create content for Magic Legends, Dauntless, other stuff like that. And going back to the whole thing about like this, the people were investing in this guy. I want people to invest in me for Vermintide too, but that's so I can make even more content, and that's why I had the idea to thank people by at least putting them in as a sponsor, if we ever hit that. I've had this goal up for a week, and it's like I had nobody's tip, but it doesn't matter, because when somebody feels that I'm worth it, they will. That's why I said I don't care if this goal is up here for a month and I don't hit it. I'm still gonna have it there, because I know that when people think I'm worth it, they will, and I'm okay with that. I think too many people have the arrogance inside them because they believe that they're practically like God, it's like, I'm this famous streamer, this and that, you owe me this much. I guarantee you what happened was that at one point this guy was bragging like he had 300 subs or something like that. I don't know, some astronomical figure, but I guarantee you it's only because at the time people were trying to invest in him to get him this better mic and whatever, and then at the end of it, when they couldn't keep paying month after month, because there's probably a lot of gifted subs in there, when they couldn't keep paying month after month, it started dropping off, and then that's when he got pissy, what I'm saying, because he saw his revenue dropping. But like you said, Kaz, he didn't understand that these are tough times for people. This is COVID times. COVID is not getting better. Here in Singapore, because as Kaz knows, there's no COVID in Singapore. We are the safest country in the world right now, because there's nothing here. So sometimes we in Singapore forget, like today, me and my family, we was at dinner and, we were all talking and everything. I was surprised to find out that COVID's actually getting worse in other parts in the world, like India, Bangkok, Africa. Like, did you guys know that? Because I didn't know that. I don't watch the news at all. So I didn't know before today.
It's just like a COVID tracker, so I know.
Pardon?
I said my sister, she's like a COVID tracker. She keeps me well informed.
So that means it's legit, like it's really getting worse in other parts of the world. Like,
what this means is if you take your time and plan things out and make sure that
yeah, genuinely.
Man, okay, wow. So yeah, that was an eye opener for me.
We're supposed to be out of lockdown in March, right? We're in level 5 lockdown. We were supposed to be out of that in March. It has now been extended to June.
Yeah, why is that in the case in Ireland? Is it also still bad in Ireland? Because y'all are on lockdown, nobody's going anywhere. How is it still spreading?
I'll tell you why. Because people are idiots.
Well, okay, fair enough.
No, genuinely, I'm not saying all people, but there are genuine idiots who don't believe in COVID, who end up catching COVID or they're a carrier and they go out and they meet their friends and they meet their family and they pass it along. And what happened is they reopened schools, which is great for the kids because bless them, they were getting bored. But it's running rampant now in schools because adults are going out still. They might be catching, they may not have any symptoms, but they're passing it on to the kids. The kids are then going to some other kids and it's passing along, and so it surges again.
Yeah, that's, you know, something crazy that I found out today. Yeah.
It's fucking still 2 weeks and already we've had our lockdown extended because of the higher amount of cases. And the unfortunate thing about that is the only vaccine they're willing to offer to Ireland at the moment is the AstraZeneca vaccine. And I'm sorry, sweetheart, as much as I love you, I'm not taking it.
No, don't.
And in order to be able to fly, I have to have a vaccine, which means that unless they offer a different type of vaccine, I won't be flying anywhere.
I know. I'd rather wait because AstraZeneca is a no-go. Please do not take AstraZeneca, by the way, ladies and gents. This is not false information, all right? No. You can legitimately check it. What it has been proven to do is it causes blood clots, and if those happen in your brain, you suffer an aneurysm and you die. This is a real risk. A lot of people have been, you know, the people defending AstraZeneca, and I don't blame them, okay? Maybe they invested in the company or whatever, but I'll tell you this honestly, okay? This is some knowledge for those of you that may not know, okay? They say that there's only been a few cases compared to the number of thousands of vaccines of AstraZeneca that have been delivered, right? Yes, it's only a few cases, but the problem with an aneurysm is that you don't know when it will happen. As somebody that has seen this occur in his family, all right? Not from the vaccine, but I mean through an actual aneurysm. What happens is the clot forms in the brain, but you don't know when it'll burst. That's the issue. So even though if the vaccine even is linked to it and has a higher causality, right? Straight off the bat, what could happen is that maybe 6 months after you take the vaccine, a clot could form, and then another 2 years later, then it bursts. You see, and then your life is just cut short like that. So having an increased risk of that is the reason why the doctors made the decision to go forward and actually talk about it, because when Australia brought that information out, in Australia, you get sued left, right, and center. So they are very careful about what they say if they do not have the facts to back it up. The fact is they do have the facts to back it up. And that's why please do not take the AstraZeneca vaccine, because it is not a smart idea. All right. Yes, you may be fine now, but you don't know when the clot will form and you don't know when the clot will burst. It's a twofold process. If RN Jesus does not like you, you could get the vaccine. Tomorrow the clot forms, day after burst, dead. And you die. An aneurysm results in death because you're bleeding in your brain and it suffocates the brain. Please remember that. You can go and Google this. I am not giving misinformation. This is actual medical shit. Not just because I'm Asian and we have a lot of doctors in our family. I mean, we do, but still, you get the point. You get the point, okay? I'm the black sheep of the family. I didn't go to medical school. Everybody else expected to go to medical school, but I chose not to. I can't. I'm not a... I can't be around bodies and blood and all that, you know. As much as I like to talk smack, yeah. I am. I mean, partially also because of some of the occurrences in service, you know, military service, whatever. I mean, the point is, I'm just not interested in medical school. Yeah. Oh, your mom's a nurse, Grain? That's nice. By the way, Grain is from France. He was saying that to us earlier.
Oh.
Yeah,
Bonjour.
Yeah, my better half here is from Ireland. I'm from Singapore. We're still waiting for our clandestine meeting, but you know, it's okay to wait because we'd rather be safe and have it in a good circumstance. You know, I think that is very important.
Definitely.
But you know, it doesn't even feel like it's been an hour. But you know, we've been talking for an hour.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna get close to wrapping up the show here.
I just want to say another reason an awful lot of people tend to hate on you is that we encourage discussion. A lot of people we see in the streaming world, they have like sub only chats, or you know, if you bring up a particular topic, or sometimes if you even just go into someone's chat and say hello and try to speak to the streamer like you're banned or whatever. And I think an awful lot of people don't like when they see us having the chats, because we encourage it, because that's how you get to know people. How are you going to get to know your audience if you never talk to them?
Exactly.
Whereas we have always encouraged chats. We've encouraged many different topics, I don't really think there's any topic we've ever really shied away from. And you know, if people are having a bad day and they want to come and talk about it, we tell them, talk to us. Like, what's going on? We might have a solution, or, you know, sometimes just chatting about, you know,
That's
your
true.
bad experience that day, and having a quick chat about it can make somebody feel better. And having someone who's willing to listen, I think, makes all the difference. And, you know, you can do that while playing your game. You can do that while making great content. You can chat to your audience. You can stop and chat like we do. You know, we won't play again. We'll just stop and chat. I've often, when I used to stream, I would often stop the game that I was playing just to literally sit and chat with the chat. Like, I remember I had 25 people. This was a long time ago. 25, no, to me, 25 people was a lot. Sitting in my chat one day, and someone started a conversation about books, and I literally stopped the game I was playing, and we talked for about 3 hours non-stop about books and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And that was such a good time. And the next day when I went live, like, I was playing whatever game, and again, you know, it was having the chat, but people were then kind of talking about the game I was playing, and then, you know, the conversation turned to different games and what everybody else liked. And that's how you grow a community. You're never going to grow a real community, or you're never going to have a real community if you don't spend that time getting to know them. And I think an awful lot of people have always hated on you because you have always been so community focused.
It's true. And I think that to an extent also I have grown in my selectivity, because I can see now very easily, like, I think this comes with experience, but I can see when a person's just here to pick my brain about a couple of things, and then they'll just go away and you never see them again. Or I can see when a person really genuinely enjoys me as a streamer, and they want to get to know me, they want to get to, you know, involve my community, they want to see all the different sides of the things that we do, because ultimately we are variety content creators. And I think that actually gives us more strength in terms of what we do. Starting this talk show, you know, at the start of every stream has actually been one of the greatest things ever, because, you know, I can see that people are interested in getting the motivation and getting the speeches and things like that, you know, things that we do. And
can I just, a perfect example of that though was Graham himself, because yesterday, as he would have seen when he first came in, we are a little bit weary of new people who come in and ask to play. But it was very obvious to us very early on that you are a genuine, honest person, and that's why we let you in pretty much straight away, because we knew. And here he is again today. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're weary on purpose, but if you can see from the get-go that you are someone who is interested in the content and not just and the streamer, and not just to be there to play a game and to piss off again. Like, we will do our best to keep you as part of our community, not because we want to say, oh, he's an artist. You could be in like 500 different communities. That's fine. Yeah. What we want is people who are truly there to enjoy an experience and to have a good time, and to come in and play if they want, or not play, sit back and watch, lurk if they wish. They don't have to, you know, you don't have to come and talk, even if you just want to sit and watch. Like, that's fine. Yeah. And I think it's because we're so open and welcoming to the people who do come in, when they do become part of the community, we do our best to make them feel consistently welcome. Yep. So that they can keep coming back. And it's not just for the view, and it's not just for the sub. It's because even if there was no views, and even if there was no such thing as subs, we would still want you here. Yep. And I think that's what an awful lot of people have forgotten, is that you want the people there regardless of whether they're paying or not. Exactly. And you also want the people there regardless of the content you're bringing out, because if they're only there for one particular content, then they're not going to stay when you move games. And, you know, that's what's so important that many streamers forget, because yes, I get it. Like, for some streamers starting out, all they want to play is Apex and show off their super plays. But what's going to happen 2-3 years down the line when you're no longer interested in it? What's going to happen? Some people have very short attention spans. What's going to happen in 3 months when you're no longer interested in it? You know what I'm saying? You gotta be aware that there is no permanence in the world. This is actually a concept in Buddhism. There's no permanence in the world. Everything is transient, which means you cannot rely solely on something, you know? You got to have more than one. And Grain, you know, you don't have to be sorry for being late. Like Ashada says, you're here and that's what matters. And you know, oh, listen, dude, you're not here at the end, bro. We're gonna keep going all night. You're just here. This is just the end of the talk show segment, you know. We're gonna be playing all night, but yeah. Kaz had something else to say, so I'm passing over to her. No, I was just going to say, like, it's great when we do get people come in and they come on the back of one game, and then they end up playing so many different games. Like, even like Arshala's, for instance, right? Arshala's downloads Space Lords to come and play with us when, you know, he normally plays like other different games. And when Trippy comes in, you know, we started off with Trippy on Paladins, and then he played Dauntless, and then he played Lords 2. Like, we don't want people to come in to just play one game with us. We want to showcase different, so that when they see us playing other games, they may want to play the games. And if they play the games, then they're going to be part of our squad, so that we can all have a good time playing these games together.
Or they can bring the games to their own community, you know, if they're streamers as well.
You see so many, even big streamers out there. Like, I hate using his name, but even if you look at Ninja, who has based his career solely off Fortnite. And I remember going to his stream a couple of weeks ago when he was just on the off chance. Like, he doesn't even like the game anymore. The game is now filled with bots because there's not enough people playing anymore. And he spends his time shitting on the game, and I don't blame him. Like, it's not his fault. But people move on from games. People won't play that same game the whole time. And they will move on. Like, Fortnite is great for small kids, but if you're an adult and you're consistently playing with small kids, of course you're going to get frustrated, because kids don't give a shit when they play games. Whereas, you know, there are some content creators out there, like Syndicate, for instance, who plays mostly Call of Duty, which is fine, but he changes the content up every single day. So yeah, he's playing the same game every day, but he does little mini challenges with his viewers, and he invites them in, or he'll have a squad of people playing, and it's always something different. There's always some kind of competition going on in order to keep people interested, not just in him, but in the game. So yeah, he plays the same game all the time, but he keeps it interesting. It's not just going in watching him, you know, kill and do the same maps over and over again. There's always a competition between him and his friends, or between him and the people watching, or, you know, he'll play with his subs, or, you know, he'll do something that keeps the content fresh. And that's a lot of people don't know how to keep their content fresh, even if they do play the one game all the time. And that's when they start hating on other people, because other people know how to keep their content fresh.
Yeah, and that's exactly why, you know, I like doing this, even if it's something so small as, you know, I just like something that I want to say is, you know, even if it's something so small as just changing the cover page on Robot in the Morning. Sometimes I'll do that, you know, because it's just the little things. You gotta do these little things to just keep content fresh and interesting. And sometimes you just gotta bring out something new, you know. It's just interesting, because otherwise, how are you gonna retain any attention for the stuff that, you know, you do, you know? That's why I move games so often. I'm like always trying something new, because there's always a lot of other things. All right, so what I want to say again is that we are now coming to the end of our talk show segment. Of course, we'll be playing Deep Rock Galactic after that, so it's going to be very interesting to see this. You know, me and Kaz are going to be two dirty dwarfs. And, you know, we actually reached 9 viewers on this, you know, so I'm pretty happy with that, pretty happy. People are starting to notice the talk show, and I think that that's good. You know, and thank you, Arshals, for putting up the tip link one more time for those of you that want to fund Vermintide 2. All right, I don't care how long it takes me to hit that goal, but anyone that wants to fund it, okay, drop me a tip. Let me know that you do. Anyone dropping more than $5, you're going to go into a sponsor listing, so that for the week after we hit the goal and I'm making the content for Vermintide 2 and stuff, all right, your name's going to be in all the videos, all the streams, everything. So, you know, thank you guys if you decide to do that. We have come to the end of our talk show segment for today. I can't believe it's been an hour. It doesn't feel like an hour, you know? This is so much to talk about. So many interesting things. The time just flew by, you know?
And remember, if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about, just let us know.
Yep, just leave a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For those of you that will be seeing this on YouTube, this will be our YouTube exclusive series. Okay, an Asian Guy and Irish Girl Talk is filmed live on Twitch every Saturday, so make sure you tune in. All right, this is Robot and the Irish Girl, signing off.